AITA for telling my friend her kid has no manners? Am I the asshole? Admirable Cold 8875. NTA The truth hurts. And all those other friends saying you were too hard? They all think the same thing about precious little Jack. They just don't have the nerve to say it. Notice their kids don't act like that. What kind of parent doesn't immediately take the ring from the kid? This isn't a stuffed toy. It's somebody's wedding ring FFS. He'd get bored with it? Seriously? That's the best she could come up with? I would have pried that little hand open and taken it. Your friend is the AH. But that's okay. 'Cause in a few years Jack won't have any friends and she'll spend a lot of time making excuses for him when she's continually called into school. Mental Composer. 4434. NTA and #X200B. Greater than I told Nora I'd like him to give the ring back. Nora said he'd just get bored with it now and that I needed to relax. We can see where he gets his lack of manners from. The fact that she wasn't embarrassed and apologetic, but instead had the audacity to say something like this. Sheesh. Quote, Ilurapod. 1265. Your friend group can get on their hands and knees and comb every inch of your yard. 2. Or they can never be invited back to your home. And if you never find the ring, you can ask for a new ring to be made, to the exact specifications. And Jack's mama can pay for it. NTA Jack's mama was responsible for her child. She can pay to replace what he threw out the window, while she did nothing. Even if you have to get a court judgment to make her. Euthanasia 63. 16,069. NTA. She might not like to hear the truth, but that doesn't change the fact that it's correct. Her not immediately intervening with something like a wedding ring is a failure on her part. Though, it's likely why he is the way he is. She should be on her hands and knees in that yard and house until the ring is found. Amanda A. 1023. 382. 2. I have an idea. Let's have all the women give Jack their wedding rings and let Jack throw them into the garden. One by one. Do you think any of these women would like that? Do you think anybody would try to stop the kid? Or would they just tell themselves, oh, Jack will get bored in a minute and put the rings down? NTA. PP Pillow Princess. 311. NTA. The child behaves that way because his mother lets him. Not because there is something wrong with him, so it was kind of mean to say them when you're real. Issue is that your friend is a shit parent. I would not invite that friend back over since her manners were just as atrocious as her child's. You can get a metal detector for under $50, so just buy that and walk around the backyard until you find the ring. And make sure your jewelry insurance is up to date. Quote, Starby Barbie 99, 1988. For about $100 US from Amazon you can get a decent metal detector. It will likely find your ring. And NTA re the kid. Not kid's fault either. His mom sure is though. Hippie_dippy_gypsy. 691. 1. AITA for finding it unfair that my dad told me that I had to pay rent or move out at 18 but didn't tell my brothers the same thing at 18? Quote, am I the asshole? More State 2251. I kinda disagree with some people here. I understand that the father is trying to help, but not asking the 22-year-old to get a job to help or move out but forcing your 17-year-old to pay rent or move out is not fair. They should all be treated the same. The 22-year-old should not be coddled. The situation with the 22-year-old is his fault and he's trying to make an example out of the 17-year-old. I can understand if Op was a spoiled brat, but Op has been working for 2 years. The father could have at least allowed Op to save up for a year or two before moving out. So the father allows the 22-year-old to remain jobless, live rent-free, but the child that has been working for 2 years, got a scholarship and has been a good kid gets punished? You guys don't see it as punishment, but my friend went through the same situation and it was super Rough for him. He was literally homeless on holidays. Thank God my parents allowed him to come stay with us. His family continued to coddle the 25-year-old son that has been living rent-free for years with no consequences. Sun Moon 98. 11,008. Will you have graduated from high school at this point? He may not be able to legally kick you out until you have. Worth looking into, so you can at least have that completed before you go off and live your best life without him. NTA. Section Remarkable 577. 122. Why have a kid when you're going to discard them 18 years later? I don't get the point. Unlucky Country 2784. 703. In Ta, but you come from a family of them. Best bet is to find a roommate somewhere. And not let your dad co-sign the lease. Don't even let him know where you moved. The _bad_ agent. 1687. My first reaction was, what bullshit and such a dick move. My rule was that if my kids were in school, or working more than part-time, they could live at home for free. I expected help around the house though. My son was going to school and working full-time, so we agreed to him purchasing certain things. Laundry detergent, dog food, toilet paper, and more. He graduated at age 25. Have you brought up the fact that having to pay rent will require you to work considerably more? And taking away from your schooling? What is happening doesn't seem fair, emo. Perhaps he will do the saving your rent money for when you move out. I'm so sorry you are dealing with this. NTA. Back to Hat. 73. Your dad's the asshole. Hot _active _1323. 188. I'm with you on this one. I think if he wants rent, that's fine, but if he is going to do this with you, he should be doing it with the 22 yo. Ignansage. 327. AITA for refusing to punish my son? Am I the asshole? Want punish son BL. NTA. Your son is 20. If he wants to read adult material, he can. Who should be punished is your daughter for invading his privacy. JRM 1102. 2657. NTA. There is no reason to punish your adult son for reading age-appropriate things. Hell, good luck punishing an adult son for anything he consumes. Really. You have no power here. XD. You even note that he had made repeated attempts for his sister not to read them. Your daughter specifically looked for the books after she was told she should read them. It's a pretty normal impulse __ at 17 __ to try to break rules. But it's not her brother's fault. I certainly hope your wife is overreacting because of her worry for your daughters. Imagined. I am afraid. Innocence. And not because of what BL entails. Which could make her punishment less a parenting mistake and more of a homophobic reaction. ETA. As OP has edited this post, please note that indeed the 12-yo daughter read the books, not the 17-yo one. Overall, I think my point still stands though. Lady Taruki. 6090. NTA. Your wife is totally TA. Your daughter was wrong for purposefully trespassing in your son's personal space and purposefully looking through his private possessions that she was directly told she was not allowed to. Your daughter is the one who committed the violations, and your daughter is the one who should be punished. I say this because I was also the kid who snooped through my parents' room when they weren't home and looked through my father's private collection of magazines. I knew what I did was wrong, and certainly not my father's fault. Your wife is just reacting to her own upset about the nature of the material and taking this too far in the wrong direction. Training Dearest. 902. The book was not your daughter's. She was told not to read it. She did. She was told that she can't read, take something that does not belong to her. If anyone, she is the one who needs punishment for invading your son's privacy and going against his wishes regarding objects that he bought. Your daughter has nothing to do with them. She is the one who needs a punishment. And your wife needs a wake-up call. Please show her this thread. Les. 642. NTA Your son is an adult. And has a right to read adult things. Your wife is pointing her anger. If the anger is necessary at all. To the wrong person. If anyone should be punished. It's your daughter for violating her brother's privacy. And messing with his things. He's set clear boundaries on multiple times. She went into his room and searched through his stuff. She has no right to do that. And is the one who needs grounding for no respecting when someone says, no, your wife needs to calm all the way down. And needs to understand that her son is an adult. And she has no more control or power over him. Also, to point out, with her blowing this thing out of proportion, and screaming in his face for doing something normal for a person his age, is gonna make him not want to talk to her anymore. And he'll distance himself and rarely ever come home. Over Cookie_Crumble. 101. NTA, I would be buying a lock for my son's door. Your son doesn't deserve to be shamed and gaslit by your wife that being 20 and buying adult material is wrong. You should have a word with your wife and ask her how she would feel if her son looked down on her for having been sexually active and creating all your children in the first place. Time to start treating your son as an equal and a friend rather than a child. Bitch extraordinaire. 374. BL, okay. I had to Google it. Sue your wife wants to punish your 20-year-old kid for looking at naughty anime drawings of boy love. And you say she is uncharacteristically bent out of shape over this? Could your wife displaying a little homophobia? I think so. Even though she may be in denial. NTA. Euthanasia 63. 569. AITA for refusing to answer to my grandparents' nickname for me? Am I the asshole? Historical Pain 3395. The only rude people are your grandparents. It is your name that has been with you since birth and that you like. Absolutely nobody has the right to force a different name on you and not responding to that fantasy. Name, don't call it nickname, is perfectly fine in my book. Do they want to turn you into a different person and start with the name? Sit down with them. Tell them that it hurts you a lot when they don't respect your name. And in return they should ask themselves how it feels when they are simply given a different name. And the old one is no longer valid. Mini_Godzilla. 4083. NTA, it's your name. It's time to sit them down and kindly explain some boundaries, knowing that while you can't control their behavior, you can control how you respond to it. Tell them you love your name, that you find it hurtful and troubling that they would choose to try and change your identity. Let them know that when they say the wrong name, you will correct them, and then do. Ignoring them will only add fuel to the fire that they started. So when they say, Elizabeth, just repeat, that's not my name. I've told you it's hurtful. Please XA0 call me, XA0 Estrella. Rinse and repeat. They will get pissy about it for a while because they are not getting their way, but should get the gist in time. I'm sorry about your ma. Gold_seaweed 3130. 340. NTA. There's a level of absolute insanity to this that I can't even express. Pick a random name every time you speak to them, until you find one they really hate. If they object, tell them that you like X name better, and so they should change their name for you. Poindexter? Hubert? Martha? Prudence? Brunhilde? Make sure they're actual names that are used, just ones they don't like. Since the only people being immature here are your grandparents, giving them some personal experience with this nonsense is justified. That said, I'd consider this abusive, and you could talk to your school counselor about it. They might be willing to step in and explain how trying to force you to use a name just because they like it can cause identity issues and trauma. People's names are non-negotiable. Savina the White. 1253. NTA, not even close to being TA here. What choice have they left you? It's utterly disrespectful to you. Zagreal 55. 186. NTA. Calling you by your preferred name is the very basic level of respect, and you can't even get that. Your grandparents suck. Throw away MR0. 179. NTA. It is your name. Explain that popular names come and go, and that weird names are just new to them. Names like Wilma and Wilbur might seem weird to current generations. What's old is new again. Estrella is an old Latin, Greek name. Aster means star. And this gives us lots of names like Esther, Estrella, Estelle, Étoile, Svetlana, Stella, and Astrid. In classical mythology, Estrella, the goddess of justice, chastity, and truth, was the last of the immortals to leave Earth with the decline of the ages. Her return was to signal the dawn of a new golden age. Shawai. 132. NTA. Start calling them by different names as well, and when confronted say how the names you've picked out would look so much better on their tombstones. Cleantech 2020. 80.